Hey, welcome to Leaving Crazy Town with Finn and Sarah. We're going to talk about what today, Sarah?
We're going to talk about people pleasing.
Is anyone pleased?
No, nobody's pleased. And I know people are going to go, what? Because a lot of us are people pleasers. We think we're being helpful, and we think we're being helpful by either doing something for someone or not telling the truth, or we get invited to Indian food, say, for example, and I'll say, sure, I'll go to Indian food because everyone wants to go, even though
Newsflash, she hates Indian food.
I don't like Indian food. All right, I've learned these lessons over time.
What happens when you say yes to the Indian food and you go and you're at the restaurant? Now what happens?
All right, now what happens, this did happen with my sibling, okay? Because I rationalized, I said, there has to be something I could possibly eat because I know they really like Indian food. But then I got there and literally I couldn't find it. I mean,
what
I
a
think
surprise.
I had a few
It
vegetables.
was all Indian food on the menu, wasn't it?
I think I had some bread. Okay, but the point is...
How did they feel?
I'm not pleased because now I can't find anything. And now they're looking at me like I'm crazy because I said, sure, let's go for Indian food when I don't like it.
And now their co-crazy gets activated because you're not eating.
Yes, it's a shit show. So people pleasing does not work. That's one quick example.
Another example for me is if I say I want type A whatever, and someone in my
more specific?
Someone in my life says, oh, but type A plus with the super deluxe is exactly what Finn needs, and they get me that. So they don't get what I've asked for. They go over the top, and now I'm like, that doesn't work for me. So I'm not happy, they're not happy because I'm not enjoying what I got. But I want everyone in my life to know if I want or need something, I'll be pretty specific and I'll ask for it. Otherwise, no.
Right. That's a great one because, we all know what assume means, but it's like I could totally see me doing that. Like my son asks me for something and says, gee, I'd love this for Christmas. And then I see a better one. I can't remember doing this, but I'm just saying this as an example because I know you parents have done that. And I buy it, and then he opens the package. He's like, this isn't what I asked for. So again, people pleasing is a delusion, you guys.
I know some people, I've heard this, I think someone at work wanted a basic coffee pot and I forget why, they just wanted to brew coffee. And their family member bought them this deluxe cappuccino maker and everything, and they're like, that's not
what I wanted.
There was a particular reason they were asking for what they wanted, and we think it's going to be bigger and better. They're gonna, whatever. We're gonna find this better thing, and I don't know. There's something about just trusting. And the dinner thing and the food stuff. I was telling Sarah before we started that. When I want, I'm on a food plan, so it's a lot easier for me to just bring my own food, but somebody may insist on cooking, and then they're interrogating me about what I can and can't eat, and then they're acting like it's a pain in the neck, and I'm like, why are they doing this? They, for some reason, think they're pleasing me by making my special meal, but then I'm being tortured for it.
Yes.
And I don't know if that ever happens to you, anyone, where you ask someone something, they say yes, they don't want to say yes, but they say yes, and then the whole time you're at the event, say the theater, they're complaining because they don't actually like the theater.
Yes.
So they think they're helping you and they're pleasing you, but really they're making the experience miserable for you because they're not happy either.
You guys are going to put so many examples in the comments. Just think about this. Think about times you've said yes to things, thinking that it's helping the other person or making the other person happy. If you say, oh, they really want to go, I'll go even though I hate it. It doesn't make anyone happy, and it also affects the relationship in a negative way. That's what it's being dishonest.
Now, don't get us wrong. There are situations, especially in relationships,
yes,
where you compromise and you make decisions.
That's different.
But for me, it's a matter of with my wife, I used to say, you know what, I'm not really interested in that. Is it important for you for me to go?
Yes.
And therefore, I'm not pretending I like it.
Yes.
I'm going to be there for her.
Yes.
As opposed to this under the guise that I'm going to enjoy it as well. And that compromise isn't a big deal. It becomes a problem when it's what you don't want to do.
Yes.
And you haven't had that discussion. And sometimes, if you're like me, you won't even know you don't want to do it. You yes on the phone. Later on, you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. I've had to make many calls back and say, you know what, I can't do this because I agree to things I don't want to do because I don't even know I'm activated at the time.
I want you guys to know too, think about this. Right before, a lot of times we're in a hurry or we're impulsive or we just, say yes because we feel like that's the right thing to do.
Or it just feels like that's what we want. We don't even know. We haven't pondered it yet.
That's what I was going to say. One of a great tool that I recently used is someone asked me to do something. I was about to say yes, and I thought I had this little niggling feeling inside, and I want you guys to start noticing that. Someone asks you, and this feeling inside gives you that little doubt. Now, then your mind wants to go, oh, I should do it. I should do it or whatever. But notice the niggling feeling and then say to yourself, this is the best thing to say. Let me get back to you. I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Right?
Sometimes I just get so excited that I think I want to do it and I answer.
Right.
And I have to call back. But if I could remember that stupid let me get back to you, it would be a lot easier because I could get in touch. I'd be in my own energy thinking about the question.
Yes. And we're impulsive people. If a lot of the people here are addicts, I mean, we can be impulsive. We can get excited. But it is really good to slow it down a little, to think about it. Is this something I really want to do? And this is the thing about people-pleasing behavior, is a lot of it comes out of, yes, impulsivity perhaps, but a lot of times it comes from like the fear of not wanting to hurt someone's feelings, thinking we know better.
Have you ever had that example where someone's like, hey, Sarah, try this soup. And you're like, oh, no, thanks. I don't like that. I don't know, whatever's in the soup. And then they're like, oh, but try it. And then you're finally trying it. And now, like, it's like this double thing. You've agreed to it because they keep asking. You don't want to. You know you don't like it. Now it's in your mouth and you're trying not to make a facial expression or spit it out.
Yes. We're getting into other topics now, but like when someone says no thanks, just accept the no.
Boundaries.
We're talking a lot about boundaries. And this is going to be the last example. We're going to wrap this up. So my son needed a ride home from the airport. And I have this thing, like I don't see him that much. I should be available to him.
And you're his mother. I mean,
and
come
I'm his mother. I know people are like, I can't believe you didn't pick him up. No. So I said, well, what time is it come in? And he says 12 o'clock. And I said 12 a.m. or p.m. And he said 12 a.m. Ha. Now, part of me was like, oh, I really should. It would make him happy. We'd get to chat about his trip, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, I was seeing a problem with this because Sarah goes to bed at 5:30.
Yeah.
Not quite.
So what I said is I'd get back to him. Then what I did is I offered him other options. I said I'd get him an Uber, I'd get him another. And the fact is, this is the thing also with people-pleasing behavior. It's like we think we're the be and all, He has friends that would be glad to pick him up at midnight.
And your son absolutely knows how to get an Uber, probably in a better way than you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, if I did that behavior, I'd be exhausted. I'd be resentful. I probably wouldn't be a great conversationalist picking him up at midnight. So again, it doesn't work for anybody.
And I don't know if you heard this or even if Sarah meant this, but sometimes what Sarah did, I do to make me feel better about a decision that I feel forced into. So I feel like it's my son. I should pick him up. I should do this. So instead of feeling or being conscious that I'm violating what I really want to do, I start to say, well, we'll have a nice conversation.
Right.
It'll be a good time together. So you start making these rationalizations. In reality, when Sarah sat with it, she's like, am I really going to be having an open, loving conversation at midnight?
Right.
Like, maybe not. Right. So I'll use those tools to convince me that it's something I really want to do. Right. Instead of accepting, like, no, this isn't something I want to do.
So people, think about where in the last week have you done people-pleasing behavior out of some fear? Put it in the chat. Let us know. This is a big one. It's hard. But again, people-pleasing doesn't doesn't really please anyone.
And I bet there are a lot of people who may like tell us, when did you people please and it blew up in your face?
Yes.
Because it's happened to me, and it's also been the reverse, you know, like, ugh.
Yes, it's really not being true to yourself. It's actually being dishonest, which is huge. So we're leaving Crazy Town. No people pleasing.
We're out of here.
We're out of here.